class. Let's get started to learn about the online teaching and the relationships in distance education. In this part, we'll learn about the types of relationships in distance education, and also we'll learn about the online teaching and the skills for online teachers, and finally we'll learn about the concerns for a new online teacher. In the types of relationships in distance learning, we will learn about two models: the community of inquiry theoretical framework and the student-centered learning relationship. Let's start with the community of inquiry theoretical framework. This framework provides a structure for teachers to design and facilitate an online courses to effectively engage students in active learning and make learning meaningful. The community of inquiry framework is composed of three interconnected presence, as we can see from this slide. So here is the teaching presence, and here is the social presence, and then here the cognitive presence. The social presence refers to the learner's ability to show their social presence online and to view their classmates as real people and to communicate openly online, for example, through a discussion forum or maybe to engage in icebreaker activities so students will get to know each other. Regarding the cognitive presence, it refers to the learner's ability to construct meaning through reflection, social and collaborative activities by engaging learners in storytelling events and exploration and investigation activities. For example, may we ask students to exchange information and ideas and concepts among each other, or maybe to connect ideas to the main topic. Regarding the teaching presence, it refers to the teacher's ability to design, to guide, direct, and facilitate the social and cognitive presence to accomplish the desired outcome for students, such as maybe teachers can engage students in online and offline learning through individual and collaborative activities, such as initiating and guiding the discussion topics. Let's take an example. The main goal, the direct instructions. The objective is to deliver a lecture to explain a complex topic. The technology tools we are going to use is to use the Screencastify to record mini sessions. Another example is the main goal is the discussion, to engage students in a discussion forum, and here we will initiate a discussion or a thread in WordPress or maybe in Moodle. The main goal here is the exploration by encouraging students to research a topic and gather information they find. And here is we are going to ask students to explore the topic and make a research about it, cite the sources of the information, share their findings in the discussion forum in Google Classroom or maybe in any other LMS. Another example is the collaborative task. We will assign students to groups to work on tasks or projects online. We will advise them or guide them to use Google Docs to share documents, and maybe if they want to conduct an online meeting, they can use Google Meet or Zoom or maybe Microsoft Teams. Now let's move to learn about the types of relationships in distance education. These four relationships based on the student-centered learning relationship. The four types of the relationship are the learner-to-teacher relationships, learner-to-learner relationships, learner-to-self relationships, and learner-to-the-content relationships. In the student-centered classroom, the teacher is still the source of the content. The difference, however, here is that when designing for online courses, you as a teacher, you should not ask yourself, what do I want to study or maybe to learn or to teach my kids? Rather, think about of what does your students need to know. The key questions you may ask yourself: am I controlling the classroom discussion only to the degree necessary? Am I allowing opportunities for others to contribute to the discussion? Am I asking enough questions and encouraging participation? Is my inquiry open and honest? Am I tolerant of diverse viewpoints? Am I encouraging positive experimentation and generating a culture of optimism? Would I want to be a learner in this classroom? There are many teaching methods that can be employed to build this constructive relationship between the students and the teacher, such as asking questions, maybe brainstorming an idea, engage students in problem-solving activities, engage them in discussion, and also promote students' feedback and comments on their projects or on their assignments. To develop the learner-to-learner relationship in online learning environment, create the seeds of what is called community of practices and contribute to supporting the collaborative learning that extends beyond the learning process outside the classroom. So the main key questions that you may ask yourself, am I encouraging interaction among my learners whenever possible? Is the level of learner-to-learner interaction suitable for the content? Have I distinguished between that content the students will best learn from each other and what content the students will best learn from the teacher? Hi, have I modeled how to provide supportive but critical evaluation of works and ideas? Are the assignments that require group work as authentic as possible? Have I provided the student with necessary and sufficient guidance on how to participate in the learner-to-learner relationships? If I were a learner in this classroom, would this classroom dynamics appeal to me? One of the teaching methods to build this relationship is promoting collaborative learning by involving students in the group projects instead of giving a lecture and teaching them the scientific materials, and also provide them guidance for evaluate their peers' work as a way to improve each other's works and to engage and immerse students in a problem-based learning and also in a project-based learning. To develop the learner to content relationships, the key main questions you may ask yourself: is my content presented in the most portable way? Is my content packages so that it can be adopted as a performance support tool in the future? Is my content formatted in the most dynamic and engaging way? Is there diversity in my content selection? Is my content as accessible and available as possible? If I were a learner in this classroom, would the content appeal to me? Shifting the role of teachers of being an expert or a lecturer in the learning space, becoming a trainer and facilitator of the learning process to encourage the learners to develop the skill of self-study and lifelong learner. Among the teaching methods that can be employed to build this relationship are providing video on YouTube and building questions on it to develop higher order thinking skills. Also, you may provide students podcasts related to the material and guiding them to build a mind map for the most important benefits from it. Also, you can provide them digital stories and building open questions on them. And also, many students can contribute to the content production. So you will give students the opportunity to produce, for example, podcast or maybe video individually or in groups. By doing so, you will encourage them to be active participants in the learning process, and in the end, those resources will become valuable resources for both teachers and students as well. For the students, self-relationship is a reflection of what the student has learned in the classroom through his assessment of the learning process and what he has benefited from the lesson, the content, or maybe from the other various activities. The main questions you might ask yourself: am I allowing enough time and space for the learner to process the content? Am I providing sufficient prompts to help the learner build meaning and deliver value from the instructions? Have I created opportunities for the learner to reflect on the learning process? Are the assignments that require independent work spaced at appropriate intervals during the instructions? If I were a learner in this classroom, would I find the learning to be personal and meaningful? Some of the common methods teachers can use in building this relationship is that asking the students to evaluate the learning process or maybe to evaluate the content or the ways of learning. What are the best methods that students like to learn? Is it through collaborative work? Is it through the projects? Is it through the discussion and other activities? And to determine what they want to learn and do in the next sessions, for example, and also to engage students in the content production and material creation for the next lesson. So by knowing these four relationships, you will have realized how to plan your lessons with a list of appropriate methods for each relationship to achieve a balance between them so that the learning and teaching process is more focused on the students and rich in learning. So consider when you plan for online learning or distance learning courses, consider these four relationships and also define the appropriate teaching and learning strategies that support these four relationships, and remember to design your course based on a student-centered learning approach.